I got money on my mind. I'm just trying to get some dough. I ain't picking up my line unless it's money on the phone.
When did you go ahead and purchase your first truck?
Actually, I did everything for my little brother. My little brother wanted to get into the trucking industry, and he was driving for a company. He came to me. So for years, for about a good year, I threw him off. I was like, man, I don't think my little brother ready. You know what I'm saying, for that. So bro, I'm ready. I'm ready. So he did his homework, and when he did his research, I knew he was serious because I already knew the information that he went out to research, and so I did it knowing that I didn't, you know what I'm saying, I didn't really have no love to be in the industry as an owner because I seen, the high fines and penalties and how the quickest people was getting into the industry, they was basically, saying they was getting booted out, because of fines and penalties and because they wasn't keeping up with the regulation and standard compliance. And so, I just told my little brother, like, look, I'm gonna invest in you because, like I tell you, I'm big on family, so I want to see my little brother win. So from there, I basically opened up the company. Let him open up the company, and I invested, in it, and just kind of teaching him from the compliance side. And I gave him a few, and not a few dollars, but I gave him a nice significant chunk amount of money, which if I would have known what I knew, far as when it came to actually entering into the industry, I would have never done what I did, but it was a learning experience.
Can you go a little bit deeper into that? What you mean? Like if you'd have known what you'd have known, you wouldn't have did what you did?
Well, I went out and I cashed out. When you spending like, shit, over 50 bands on a truck and trailer, you cashing out on that. That was bad. That was really, really bad.
Capital.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it didn't hurt me in anything like that financially, but it's just one of them things that you use other people's money to make money. Just point blank, period. And so when I started, what happened was I also, saying in real estate as an investor. So I started noticing how real estate and trucks was so similar. I was like, man, all I gotta do is do what I did with real estate and use other people's money, you know what I'm saying? And have this pay for itself instead of me, using my own money, and because when you look up, right, sometimes it's harder depending on the economy to get your money back. And then two, worst case scenario, all you gotta do is file bankruptcy. As long as you got your capital, you good. You got your money, you good. And that was my thought process. Yeah. But you live and learn. I end up, getting my money back, over time. Yeah.
So I do want to walk it back because you mentioned real estate. I kind of figured that came after the trucking part of your journey, but your trucking journey is a little bit different than I thought originally too. Because the way I was thinking traditionally how most people do it, they get the truck, they get the CDL, they drive it themselves, but you did it with your brother. So can we walk it back though before that and get into a little bit of your real estate journey? Like when did that start for you?
Right after the cars. So my best friend, right after the cars, one of my frat brothers hit me up. He said, yo, I got this guy out of Atlanta, and he got this real estate, like organization or company or whatnot. And he basically teaching people how to come in as investors. They do everything for you, this and that. And so I'm like, all right, cool. I'll log on to some of his Zoom calls, listen to him. And so, the guy kind of require you to get educated before he would allow you to invest. And so, but he ended up gravitating to me or whatnot. And so what I ended up learning was once he seen my finances, he wanted to immediately have me jumping in and investing because he seen my credit score, and then he seen, that that I had capital. So he didn't disregard it that his initial approach was you need to learn my system before I allow you to invest. So now he like, oh man, this guy got a 800 credit score, six figures, and no, hey, come on, I want you to invest. And so he turned me on to a location that was actually the property was actually in Chicago. It was suburb of Chicago. Thank God I knew about the area. So he was like, yo, the property costs it's 25 grand, and you got basically you drop the 25 grand, you get your bread back in saying 2 to 3 weeks or whatnot. You drop the 25 grand, you get your bread back in saying 2 to 3 weeks or whatnot. No, he said you'll get your bread back in 2 to 3 weeks, right, like that. And so
Like some transactional funding type.
Yeah. So something like that. No, he said the property was 43,000, but I needed to put down 25,000 to secure the property or something like that, right?
Mhm.
So I gave him the 25 grand. I got the money back in like 2 to 3 weeks. And so when I got it back, I'm like, okay, it's dope. So then we turned around, and so we basically financed the property or whatnot. We did the hard money loan or whatnot. So I was just literally following this guy lead. I was uneducated about real estate, but my childhood friend had been telling me like, yo, he been in real estate, as a wholesale, and he's just been doing his thing out in the Atlanta area himself. So, but you know how people say you don't do business with friends and family and all that, right? So he used to always try to get me to do business with him, but I used to be like, man, I didn't want to mix, mix that company, right? But now today, I'll tell you right now, you do not do business with somebody you ain't never been to their house and you ain't never ate in their house. If you ain't got access to their home and their family, don't do business with them. You end up like how I almost end up, and I'm about to explain it. And so I turned around. The guy basically he sold me the property, right, for 43,000. I'm not knowing, right? So he used my money to secure it, sold it to me for 43,000, gained $18,000 in profit without me even knowing this. You know what I'm saying? And so now come time for him to actually go out to the property, start rehabbing the property and all that. So he was doing comps and he was stealing from the comps. So like for instance, we had a construction budget, right? And the construction budget was like, I think it was like 40,000, right? To rehab this house. And so, and when you look at the market, the house was going for like 180, right? And so I'm like, cool. So if I got it for, saying 43,000, 40 in it, 180. So that's essentially that'd be about $80,000 profit, give or take, walk away about 70, right? So that was my thought process, right? So the guy, he turned around, he started peeling from the comps. So he would submit documents showing that, hey, I need 10,000 for this, and there's the reason why. And so you'll look up, he'll get the $10,000, but he never really used the money on nothing. So after he then basically just took all the money out of the comps, he just disappeared. So I'm left with his property, and I'm like, what the hell? And now, I didn't realize that he done down and stole all the damn construction money. So I'm definitely like, now I'm nervous. Who I call? I call my boy, that been in real estate, the friend that people say you don't do business with because they friends. And he literally walked me through the process, helped me save the property, helped me walk away, whereas I didn't lose nothing, and I ended up making 50,000 off that deal.
Can you get into that? Like how did you turn that situation around? Cause and a little bit with when you were saying the comps, like you would mean like he was using the comparable properties in the area to like get you to put money up.
Basically, right. What happened is, if I'm wording them right, because I'm not the real estate guru,
Yeah.
but like you get like a rehab budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
And based on what the guy was explaining it, you have to submit, to the actually hard money loan lender, like documents showing that, hey, it's gonna cost me 10,000 to do the living room, the kitchen. So, and then what they do is they send $10,000 worth of materials. You go to Home Depot and you go and you say, I'm gonna put this type of paint in here, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. So you getting all that information. So you send it over to the hard money loan, then they release a check. And so when they release a check, he's not doing that work. Yeah. So he's not doing that work.
Damn.
And so then, then he's telling me that, that he
just
doing
taking
stuff.
the money and running.
Yeah. And he's just leading me on. He's telling me just whatever he wanted me to tell him. And I'm believing him because, again, somebody turned me on to him. And I just didn't think somebody would just lie and just do you like that. You know what I'm saying? And so, I reached out to my boy and I let him know what I had going on. And so when I reached out to my boy, he ended up like, yo, this is what we can do. We can go in. And then because the comps are so high, you can just kind of put it on the market. You can just sell it at this. Somebody may end up buying it. And then you can pay back all the loan money and this and that. So we put it on the market for like a higher price. And I think it was like 140 or something like that. And so the homie, somebody ended up buying it, and they was cool with it because the way they looked at it was they had a little room to wiggle, you know what I'm saying, to work with. In addition to that, they ended up making the house better than what it is, and they put it on the market for a lot higher than what it was originally going for the 180. So they end up winning as well, you know what I'm saying. But thank God for my boy, you know what I'm saying. He really, really saved me with that deal. And from that point forward, in addition to that, a whole bunch of legal stuff came, you know, big ups to some of my FBI connects. I reached out to them and they kind of told me that they had attorneys that was in on it. And sure enough, it was the attorney was in on it as well. So when I ended up confronting the attorney about the document, how she drew it up, right? And I ended up saying some law enforcement terms to her. She immediately started crying and was like, I would change the paperwork. I'm sorry. I didn't know these guys was like that. And I'm like, yes, you did. And so I threatened to basically file charges with the feds where she would have lost her license to be an attorney. So then that's when I realized, like, damn, you got attorneys that be in on like, real estate fraud and mortgage fraud and scams. So, and it's like most people, when you look at attorneys or you look at people that's clean cut suit wearing person, you think that they on the up and up. So one thing that I realized, right, is that those people are the ones that I'm gonna look at closely, the ones that well spoken, wearing the suits and all that, you know what I'm saying? Because they look apart, you know what I'm saying? But they be hiding behind their corruption.
I'm sorry that first deal went that way, but still, like it was a lesson in it. But and that was, you said, prior to the trucking industry.
So that was like you had the cars, then I go to real estate, and then even after real estate. So after that, man, my partner, he got me out of that situation. And then from there, I was like, I would never do business with somebody unless I really, really know them, you know what I'm saying? Or I'm gonna get to know them. Like I gotta be able to walk in your house and sit at your table. And that's my motto. If I can't walk in your house, sit at your table, well, I look like, giving you 6 bands to do an investment deal with you. No, because I need to be able to come to your home and know, like that guy. I ain't know where he lived.
From Adam.
Yeah, and it's like, coming to find out the address he gave me where he lived. When I end up looking it up, it was just land. I was like, golly, like, what are you thinking? You know what I'm saying? I was so enticed about well spoken, well dressed. This guy talking about how he a millionaire, he do this, he do that. So I got caught up on that, on the hype. Now it's like that don't move me because you say you got millions of dollars. That do not move me at all. Yeah.
Hey man, lessons, bro. We ended up getting scammed when we was trying to get into real estate too, my brother. It wasn't like bands, but it was 3,500. Yeah, it was enough. Something that we didn't.
I ain't had it to lose at the time, but I lost it.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
But hey, it is what it is. Like it's always a lesson. So now I do want to get more back into the truck, and I'm sorry I wanted to do that quick segue just because I really like people to see people's progression through journeys whenever we had these podcasts. But so your brother, you helped him get the truck. You got the truck on the road. You gained the knowledge about the compliance and all that. So like, how was that initial venture? Like, how did that all work out?
Okay. Well, with me gaining the knowledge about the compliance and stuff, so I was able to keep my brother going. You know what I'm saying? I was able to keep him from, experiencing stuff that new owners and stuff usually experience in the trucking industry, from not being educated. So going in from an actually business standpoint, my little brother was successful at it, from the business side, from the compliance side, he was successful at it because he understood how to read EODs. He understood how to, how to calculate his, his time and all that. He understood, the correct paperwork that you needed to have. He understood, what you needed to have on your application, how you interview somebody, almost basically how to, run the back office of a trucking company. And so, we went in unknowing that versus most people go in. When I say most, then in 95+% people get into trucking, they go in not knowing that at all. And so that's why it was a win-win, for my little brother. And then the more and more he was out there, more people he was meeting, more and more people I started meeting. I'll go to conference and stuff. And I realized that as an African American community of us getting in trucking, we really, really lack the knowledge of compliance. We lack that, you know what I'm saying? And one of the reasons why we lack that, because it's not pretty. Most of the people that write compliance and write the law, they hold a PhD. Most people that get in trucking, they barely have a eighth grade learning, you know what I'm saying? Eighth grade education, I mean. And because of that, I was like, man, I got to figure out a way that I can, what I'm saying, help the people, stay alive in trucking, because especially on social media, you start seeing a lot of people pushing, go get trucks, go get trucks, go get trucks. But it's like people scaling, buying trucks, but they're not scaling they level of education on how to run a company, stay in compliance and stuff like that. And when you look at FMCSA, most, like I say, most of them people that's writing the laws, they are educated people. Most of the people that's getting in, they not educated people.
I got money on my mind, I'm just trying to get some dough. I ain't picking up my line unless it's money on the phone.